Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into our second best of three of the day here on the G1 Champions League Asia Qualifier Phase Number 2, Group D, and I got through every bit of that without making a single mistake. I am a boss. A tired boss, but a boss nonetheless. At least I like to think of myself that way. TongFu taking on Neolution.Thai, and it's going to be their Thai division here today. And Neolution, we've gotten to see that name in action a few times here so far in the G1 qualifiers. Their Thai team in action today, but taking on quite the name in TongFu. TongFu enters play today, a team with a chip on its shoulder and something to prove. The squad is led by two well-known stars in Hao and Mu, and with the fan favorite and San Xing. But they've recently added two new names to their stable, Banana and Ayesee, who are, in the opinion of many, kind of playing out of their depth. TongFu hasn't seen a ton of action since their exit from G League in January, though, so they'll be looking to prove this new roster here in action today and looking to turn some heads and silence critics while they're at it. Neolution.Thai, they interplay today, a team similar to TongFu, at least in one way, which is in they have a lot to prove. They arrived at this point by winning their way out of Phase 1 of the Asia qualifiers, getting past Awake and Invasion Esports, one of the many teams wearing the Neolution tag. They'll be looking to shock the world with a win over international competitors TongFu and put their name on the map for good. So, don't know a whole lot about Neolution.Thai. Of course, I'm just going to be referring to them as Neolution probably for the rest of the broadcast, but still looking forward to seeing them play. And any team who's able to win their way out of that initial round of the Asia qualifiers here at the G1, you got to give them some credit, man. You got to look at a team like that and say, you know, even though we don't know them, even though they still have really nothing else proven, they're still a team that you want to watch, even when they're up against a heavy favorite in TongFu. Now, TongFu is squad I had the pleasure of getting to know whenever I was casting the International 2 in Seattle over last summer anyway. And a group of good guys, but again, very much different today. They have Song Mu and Hao really as the core three, with the two new players in Banana, who I'm going to guess is Bui Bui Bui. I'm going to guess that's who that happens to be. And Ayesee. So Ayesee and WinG, I'll be honest, I simply don't know which of those two is who. So I'll probably just be referring to them by their in-game names just for the sake of clarity. I don't want to be calling one player something they're not, regardless. But anyway, the bans are going to go out. And I'll tell you what, man, I have not seen a first ban Anti-Mage since Monthly Madness. Yeah, at least, if not even longer. Monthly Madness 2. I really don't even know what to say about that. I'm not sure why you would first ban an Anti-Mage. There are so many ways to answer that hero, unless you're just like terribly scared of the idea of trying to play against an Anti-Mage. I mean, I can understand it maybe a respect ban, but I mean, hell, Anti-Mage is one of those heroes every carry on every professional team ever knows how to play. Everyone knows how to play an Anti-Mage. And yes, Anti-Mage is disgustingly good with Magnus. So the Magnus ban I get. I mean, Magnus is a Scottie Pippen, John Stockton sort of a hero. Actually, you know what? I always say, I tend to say someone's a Scottie Pippen hero if they make other people around them better. But I'm going to call him a Dennis Rodman hero. For those who know American basketball. Because John Stockton was a Steve Nash type who, greatest assister in the history of the NBA, more or less. And all that. And that's one thing. Scottie Pippen, bit more of a playmaker, but still basically riding on Jordan's coattails. Fantastic player. But I'm going to start calling a bruiser like Magnus, someone who wants to get in and swing some elbows, that kind of a guy who makes the rest of his team better. That is officially known as a Rodman. So they ban out the Rodman and the most typical ban in history in the Anti-Mage. Now we finally got some picks I can talk about. Nyx Assassin first picked by Neolution. No surprise there. The hero, just one of the most highly valued heroes in the entire game. Has a lot of versatility. And, I mean, I could touch on all that, and I will eventually, but we'll skip that and go to the Keeper of the Light and Darkseer. I mean, really, this is chalk, except for the bans. The bans a little surprising, but the picks, pretty much chalk, Keeper of the Light, Darkseer, and Assassin. 9 times out of 10 for most teams, you see those three heroes survive the first ban phase. They're usually going to be picked up, at least at this current phase of things. And granted, that might be a little bit geographic-centric, just because for those who are perhaps hearing me for the first time, I am primarily North America and European caster, so I'm much more familiar with that meta game, that kind of scene, the tendencies there. Learning a lot so far here on my first week working with the G1, and again, want to thank each and every person over at G1. I want to thank Tusky and Chen and the whole crew in particular for giving me this opportunity. Really looking forward. And Felix, too. Don't want to forget him for giving me the opportunity to broadcast this tournament. Only going to get better from here out, too. We've already had some fantastic games. Had a great series in our very first series of the day. Zenith getting a win 2-0, but a very exciting 80-minute long game. Game number 1 that I hope you guys will go back and check. I actually had to cast that from Dota TV. But anyway, now the picks continue. Now we can talk a little bit about it. And just to be honest, I mean, it's whenever you see typical picks like a Nyx Assassin, a Keeper of the Light, and the Dark Seer, there's only so many ways I can rehash what those heroes bring until I see what they're going to be able to synergize with. On the side of Neolution, adding the Lone Druid, Queen of Pain, they're pretty wide open right now. I mean, you've got a Lone Druid who can mid or I mean, he can run anywhere, literally anywhere. He can long lane solo, safe lane solo. Generally speaking, Lone Druid is going to want a solo lane unless he's just running in a defensive tri-lane, at which point, you know, it may as well be a solo lane. Most of the supports will be ducking out, just hanging around to keep him safe. And with a Nyx Assassin up already, more than likely, I mean, it's pretty much set in stone, actually. With the Queen of Pain pick, you will see that Nyx Assassin running as a support Nyx, which is just fine. Phantom Lancer, Keeper of the Light, the absolute bane of anyone who plays solo queue Dota. And if you read any message board anywhere, chances are you've heard that combination bitched about at one point or another. Chakra plus Spirit Lance spam. Little bit annoying, a little bit tough to deal with. Now, the thing about a Phantom Lancer Keeper of the Light combination, however, when you're talking about professional grade teams, is neither of those heroes have a stun. You have an escape mechanism on Phantom Lancer and Doppelwalk. But even that's not that reliable, so long as you're able to communicate and, of course, have a little bit of detection. So the one way you can really abuse a Keeper of the Light Phantom Lancer lane is just to run right at them. It's kind of the same concept and the same reason why Lich, as a support, fell off so hard. Whenever you look at their skill sets and the way that he can work with other heroes, the amount of damage he can put out, Keeper of the Light and Phantom Lancer, I mean, Spirit Lance plus Illuminate. If you catch an Illuminate even at like level 2, right in the face, and you're a support in a tri-lane, or even just any hero in a tri-lane, and then you get Spirit Lance, you're probably just dead. There's really, it's so hard to get away and to get through that damage if they engage on you. But if you just pick an aggressive lineup that can run face-on into them and bruise and fight, you can abuse the fact that there is no real stun, there is no real slow. I mean, yeah, I mean, if Keeper wants to spend an early point mana leak, but really that's rare. Keepers of the Light do not usually want to max mana leak or even get a point into it. Those first 6 points are usually going to be split up among Chakra, Illuminate, and his ultimate. But TongFu, I mean, and to tell you the truth, Keeper of the Light can aggressively tri-lane with the Phantom Lancer. I've seen it one time. You have to really anticipate the lanes. But against the Lone Druid, it can actually work, just because Lone Druid suffers from the same problem. In a stand one-on-one situation, Lone Druid is going to do really well because he has the bear, the CS for him, he can stay back, he can stay safe, and the bear can, of course, apply a lot of harassment. A very small gold investment gets an Orb of Venom on that bear, and before you know it, he's just clawing at you and leaving open wounds, and you just simply cannot deal with that kind of harassment one-on-one. But if you just go after him, if you have a very aggressive lineup and you run right into him, especially with abilities that have decent range, like a Spirit Lance that can be spammed because of Chakra, and like an Illuminate, you can actually apply a lot of pressure there. So not saying that's necessarily the direction TongFu wants to go, or even necessarily the direction that Neolution wants to go, but just things to keep in mind. The Queen of Pain being picked up is almost guaranteed to relegate Nyx Assassin to a support role. Nothing wrong with that. Nyx is just an unbelievably strong hero, but becomes stronger the quicker he levels up. Items help him a lot. Once again, he needs something to help him with his mana for the most part. But after that, I mean, obviously, if he gets a Dagon, just improves his burst damage, his single target, his ability to nuke down a single target. But outside of just a set of tier 2 boots, usually arc boots, Nyx doesn't need a whole lot. But the quicker he gets to 6, the more potent the hero will be throughout the entirety of the game. It makes it so much easier for him to move across the map, and that begins to open space up. Just the threat of a Nyx Assassin who is a quick 6, along with the Queen of Pain, who should do well in mid. I mean, Queen of Pain is one of the most popular mid picks for a damn good reason. Rune control, very simple because of her mobility, very hard to kill her or to gank her early on, and she's almost always going to have levels, even if she's in a matchup that might not be the absolute best. So both teams still looking to put this together, and there's really not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, back to the Darkseer pick, I talked a lot about PL and Keeper, but Darkseer can run anywhere as well. I mean, you can jungle him, you can run him in a solo lane anywhere you want. So there's really just not a whole lot to say until we see these fourth pickups. Looking at the bans, A lot of team fight heroes banned out by TongFu, not wanting to deal with the cogs and all the clockwork does that reach that he has with the hook. Shadow Demon Jakiro taken out. And pretty much the exact same thing for Neolution. They ban out the Sand King, the Puck, and the Enigma. And banning out heroes that are playmakers early is what I would identify that as. I mean, Shadow Demon and Jakiro are great in their own right, but those are big AoE team fight heroes that can get active very quickly and allow you to push towers and take 5-on-5 team fights very quickly. Speaking of, a hero that allows you to do that is an Earthshaker. Earthshaker, still not this popular hero, and we can discuss that in a bit. We're going to talk about him and about Rubik momentarily. Rubik is just an extremely high-tier support for every reason, but against this lineup in particular, I love seeing a Rubik counter-picked into a Keeper of the Light. It is so easy to fall asleep on just how much magic damage is negated by Null Shield. Or Null Field, I should say. But it's a pretty big deal. 20% is nothing to sneeze at. And when you're talking about Keeper of the Light, who is going to be basically relying almost entirely on Luminate to be what he contributes to fights. Basically, the later the game goes, Keeper of the Light just becomes a walking mana heal bot. I mean, he'll re-mana people, but as items go up, stats go up, mana's not as big a deal at 35 minutes as it is at 15. So he becomes the hero who's going to be really just depending on his ability to do nice AoE damage with an Illuminate, and then throw out the blinding light that'll help in terms of right-click damage. But the damage from that, Darkseer's magic damage, and Earthshaker with Echo Slam, that's all going to be not nullified, but it's all going to be mitigated by Rubik. And, you know, just another good reason to pick a hero who otherwise is still an excellent hero. Nyx Assassin is going to be able to synergize well with him as well. Windrunner, the pickup here from Neolution.Thai to round out their lineup. So, I mean, the obvious way to run it, the most stereotypical way to run this is going to be Rubik, Nyx Assassin, Lone Druid. Lone Druid oftentimes does quite well in a solo safe lane if you can anticipate it, but they may want to keep those two supports around him in the defensive tri lane just to try and keep him safe. Windrunner in the long lane, Queen of Pain going mid. The Night Stalker pick rounds out TongFu. And yeah, I mean, it looks pretty simple for them, too. Night Stalker would usually want to go mid, wants a solo lane that he can farm, at least until the first night. Earthshaker and Keeper of the Light supporting Phantom Lancer. Now, something that I didn't really touch on, but is worth mentioning. Earthshaker, like many heroes, is a slave to mana, especially heroes that have very strong level 1 abilities like Fissure. And it's just a weakness of the hero. It's the way the hero is balanced, that mana problems are going to make sure he can't just spam his ability anywhere near as much as he would like. However, you throw in a Keeper of the Light, who's going to be giving him all the mana he could ever want via Chakra, and you have a lane that is extremely hard to do anything to, extremely hard to cope with, or to apply any pressure to. And really, that's the only way you can answer a Phantom Lancer, is just to pressure him. Do not allow him to farm himself up a fast diffusal. Do not allow him to begin using his illusions to farm the jungle super early into the game. That's usually when he gets out of control, is when a Phantom Lancer just has an excellent game, or an excellent laning phase in early game, and then he just falls back and he can safely farm a lane, then go into the jungle. Then when the lane pushes back, he goes back into the lane. It's over and over and over again. And the rest of his team just simply protecting him and maintaining a map control equilibrium, if not exerting their dominance elsewhere on the map to begin with. And they're going to have the potential to do that with a Night Stalker in particular. The mobility of a Night Stalker and Darkseer cannot be underestimated whatsoever. Looks like we're not going to have any early skirmishes, so how about we run through our lineup, see who's handling whom. We're going to have Noxum handling our Rubik. He's going to be playing our Gangsta Rubik with his hoodie on. Upper going to be handling our Nyx Assassin. Looks like we're going to have KYT, or Kit, playing on Windrunner. Queen of Pain will be taken mid by Teletubby. And Lone Druid, played by Intresso. On the other side of the river, going to have Hal, playing on our Phantom Lancer. Darkseer, going to be handled by Wing. Night Stalker, going to be handled by Mu. Sanxing, going to be playing on our Earthshaker, and I'm going to guess that's Banana. I don't want to call people names that I'm not sure, but Boy, as well as our Darkseer, who is running under the name Wing. One of those two is going to be Banana, and the other is going to be Yaoboy. So, not sure who's who, but I'll be referring to them by their in-game names just to try to keep things straight. And it is going to be an offensive tri-lane here, which isn't bad. I thought they had the potential to do this if they wanted to free this solo safe lane up for the Lone Druid. And they just have got to be really careful. And yeah, this is exactly why. And see, now normally you see that and be like, okay, well, the good news is they've shot their wad with mana, but they haven't. I mean, once this keeper hits level 3, it's going to be just bad news. He's got his first point to illuminate, so he's going to have to just rely on the damage from that. And yeah, already very late on the trigger with the carapace there from Nyx Assassin. But once he hits level 2, he'll have 1 point in the chakra. And then level 3, I actually would be surprised if he didn't just put his second point in the chakra as well. Or his third point, I should say. Wow, bit of a mistake there from Moo, trying to use a salve. He just wastes a salve, taking an auto attack right after. And he's actually in bad shape. He's going to be engaged upon. This might be our first blood. Yep, that's it. Can't allow that to happen.
First blood.
Queen of Pain, I mean, the thing is, that was just a flat-out mistake on his part. Yeah, that was the entirety of his regen that he blew with that salve. Then he came back forward. He should have just went running straight for the well. It stinks to lose the lane like that and to have to leave lane that early, less than 2 minutes in. But the other alternative is you just die and you leave the lane the hard way. So first blood on the board, give it to Queen of Pain and Neolution.Thai. Off to a fantastic start. Taking a look at the early last hits, we can see Darkseer sitting near the top and 12 for the Lone Druid right behind him. And I'm going to hold that thought because we are going to see a bit of an engagement here. Nope, never mind. Thought they were going to try to follow that up. He's got 1 point in the chakra. Now, that second point in the chakra is really important for a Keeper of the Light, and why you'll often see Keeper of the Lights given a lot of experience priority in a tri-lane just to get them there. And the big reason is chakra with 2 points in it allows him to support not just his own mana pool, but the mana pool of one other hero. And at that point, really, Neolution. Oh no, beautiful, beautiful combination there. Rubik can do nothing. Windrunner's going to end up dead. And they're just going to give this to Hal. Oh, there we go. Good call. Was actually wondering if he was going to be able to right-click her down by himself, but spending one more Spirit Lance gives him a kill. And here's the thing, like, they're doing this well already. When they have 2 points in the chakra and they can just take shots like that every single chance they get, I honestly don't know what this tri-lane is going to be able to do. As good as this tri-lane is, this is not a tri-lane that wants to stand and fight. Nyx Assassin wants to burst and then get out. He wants to rely on Carapace to give him room to get out of a fight. He wants to use Impale, etc. Windrunner wants to power shot once she gets a level or 2. Rubik, a very opportunistic hero, but not exactly someone who wants to stand and fight all the time. He's got 568 hit points, that's it. And yeah, I mean, it's just this tri-lane out of TongFu, if they execute it correctly, should just run over top of this as they get more levels. And wow, Moo's gonna die again. So oh, good bottle. Using 1 bottle charge up at top. Looks like we had another fissure go down, but not catching anyone that time around. But here in mid, without a doubt, the Night Stalker just being pounded to death by Teletubby. Very well played out of him so far. Our Lone Druid, in the meantime, is finding the farm he wants. He's at 27 at just 4 minutes in, so he is in great shape farm-wise. Don't know that you could ask a whole lot more out of him. But I still really worry for this tri-lane. Not a single level 3 yet. And yeah, I mean, just look at how can just take so much damage like this. It's just not a problem. Carapace came out just in time that time. Actually returned a little bit to Hal and to Boy. But if they can execute this, they're going to be on an okay shape. Keeper did put his second point in the chakra, which is what I expected. And at this point, really, everyone should have all the mana they want, so long as they balance it well. This is aggressive out of Neolution. This is actually really ballsy. There's the fissure, and no follow-up. I feel like TongFu's actually playing this a little bit too passive now. We can see the skill build on the Phantom Lancer. He hasn't even put a point in the Doppelwalk yet. That alone tells you how safe he feels in this situation, being in an offensive tri-lane. Not a single point in the Doppelwalk. Just spamming that out. Illuminate's going to catch Rubik. And back here in mid, Sonic Wave going to be spent. Teletubby using bottle charges. Bottle on Night Stalker as well, trying to buy in some time. There's the Scream of Pain. He's got to blink if he wants it. And he does. Goes right in. Eats a Void, though. And they end up trading 1 for 1.
Catacombs.
So Night Stalker makes a little bit extra gold there, ending the killing spree of Queen of Pain, but all in all, 1 for 1 trade, make it 3-2 now, favoring Neolution Orange. Or excuse me, Neolution-Thai, I should say. Down here at bottom, and Tresso has completed his phase boots, so again, he's doing his job. Can't complain too much about this. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more movement, and now that looks like it might change. It's just a little pre-runing right now from upper. We'll see what he decides to do, depending on what this rune is, if it shows up here at all, and it won't. It'll be down at bottom. That will be an invis waiting on someone. But, yeah, I mean, they are not challenging this Phantom Lancer one little bit. And I feel like they could abandon this at this point. Leave the Windrunner to just do what she's going to do to last hit and soak experience safely. And spend more time moving. There's Carapace. Wow, Moo just completely voided right into an obvious Carapace. Now the invisibility rune's going to come out. Saw Queen of Pain pick it up. She's going to move her way up. Upper is hanging there by himself. Teletubby. Oh, wow. Ultra aggressive. They should be able to... Oh, the Impale was really late, actually. I'm not sure if these are ping issues or what, but a lot of these players are making mistakes that really shouldn't be made. In the meantime, they do get the kill. Queen of Pain tracks down the Night Stalker. That's been a tough life for a Night Stalker. And tell you what, you want to talk about a bad way to start a game? How about 1 and 4 on a Night Stalker? And it's the first night. This is when he wants to feel scary, and right now, he is anything but a Stalker of the night. He is a hobo looking for a box to crawl in for the evening. And it looks like they are beginning to break apart this a little bit, and I think this is the right call to make. The time for them to apply any pressure to that tri-lane has since come and gone. They really need to, this is where they need to shine. They need to be able to react here quickly if they can. And they're going to go ahead, go after the Druid. Here we go, vacuums there, and here comes one TP reaction. Is it going to be in time? TP out, there's Queen of Pain, ready to clean things up, and what a root! The bear got a perfect root just in time. Teletubby has been the absolute bane of this Night Stalker's life. And it looking to drop him one more time. No, TP will be there. Moo does die to the damage over time. Scream of Pain on Sansheng. And Sansheng able to keep himself up, and Tresso benefiting quite a bit from the quick reaction of the Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain, 6-1 at 8 minutes into the game. Think he's had an okay start. Maybe, just perhaps, an okay start. Double damage now activated. Oh, that's a very unhappy Sansheng. There's the Scream. You should be able to blink and chase this down. Doesn't even have to blink. Double damage rune more than enough to secure that kill. TongFu's just getting housed right now. There's really no other way to say it. 2,000 gold at 8.5 minutes, certainly not the biggest deal in the world. But they're being outplayed just everywhere. And to tell you the truth, they're being outplayed everywhere but this tri-lane, but this is just the draft. The tri-lane of Rubik, Windrunner, and the Nyx Assassin really was never going to have a chance to do a lot here. That just was not going to happen. And they're still hanging out here a bit more than I think they really have any business to. Our Phantom Lancer is just about level 6, or level 7 now. He is going to be building drums first, which is a little bit surprising. Usually. I mean, it makes sense to a point. Usually want something to give you a little bit more survivability early on. And Aquile is usually, or Aquile is usually the popular choice. Drums serve the same purpose, help you out with your mana consumption as well. And of course, just the inherent characteristics of the drums. But after that, he'll probably be looking to go with the typical Phantom Lancer build, which is the Diffusal into the heart. Really no reason for him not to. TongFu looking to be in real good shape, and I'll tell you, a big problem that they're going to have is the fact that they don't really have any way to deal with the Phantom Lancer once he does get up his core items. I mean, you look at their team excels in surgical strikes. Nyx Assassin, Rubik, Windrunner, these are all heroes who do really well in small skirmishes or in isolating targets. But whenever you have 50 targets, well, not quite that many, when you have a dozen targets, for example, on the other team because of the Phantom Lancer illusions, all of a sudden they lose their punch. Same with Lone Druid. They've got a lot of push. They've got a lot of gank to them. But if they don't account for Hal soon, and I do mean soon, they're going to be in trouble. The last hits, he's sitting at 45, has not quite had the level of farm that the Lone Druid has. And Druid is in really good shape right now. He's picked up a Glove of Haste, actually. We'll see what he wants to do with that. If he ends up going Midas, it'll be an interesting choice. It'll indicate, obviously, that they really want to take this late, which is questionable against the Phantom Lancer for the most part. But for now, things have seemed to have calmed down at least a little bit. Poor Mu continues to struggle, still sitting on tier 1 boots, a gauntlet, and... Oh, they actually got the courier. Not even sure where that happened. But, yeah, picking up the courier. Quite a nice step in the right direction for Neolution as well. And now we're going to have Mu engaged upon. Maybe cleaned up one more time. There was a miss. He's actually silenced. Teletubby is silenced. Now they're going to blink in. One auto attack is enough. Teletubby's playing a good game at Dota, man. Absolutely. Just a dominating performance. 8-1 so far. What else can you say about it? And still keeping an eye on what's up with Intresio. Looks like he's got something on the way to him. That will be, yep, he will be getting a Midas. 12-minute Midas, not the latest Midas in history. But if he's planning to outfarm the Phantom Lancer, I think that's a mistake. I don't think that's a position you usually want to find yourself in.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Bouncing around the rest of the map, there's drums. Should be complete. Well, would be completed right now. If it wasn't for the fact that the courier was picked off. Rubik has made his way to mid. Teletubby has already picked up an ultimate orb. Probably looking to go straight up Scythe of Ice, which I really like. It's one nice way to deal with ganking a Phantom Lancer early on. I mean, showing already that he has no problem killing off just about anyone else on the map. But eventually, yeah, he's got 1 point in the Doppelwalk now. Being able to engage on top and guarantee that you can take him out of the fight immediately. Obviously, a nice step in the right direction. Very quiet game for the most part, except for Teletubby. Now, Teletubby is going to be the object of affection from TongFu. They don't over-pursue, though. TP reactions did arrive. That's going to be Nyx Assassin coming in. Now, Nyx is almost level 6. He's going to spend an Impale catch Mu. And there's Rubik to follow up with the Telekinesis. Brought back down and followed up. Rubik able to steal the Fissure. X marks the spot. And now poor Sansheng going to try to TP away. Should be able to make it. No, the Impale there just in time. This is not going well for TongFu at all. TongFu is really just getting run over. And this kind of comes down to what I was saying about the movement from Rubik and Nyx. This was definitely the right call. Those two plus the Queen of Pain are going to be able to take just about any small-scale fight that are on equal terms right now. Just because of the innate skill sets each hero brings. The Nyx is level 6 now. So, pretty quick 6. Not the quickest in history, but he's there at 13 minutes. He'll be able to rely on Vendetta now for a lot of extra burst damage. In the meantime, Teletubby going to work here on the tier 1 and mid. Phantom Lancer continues to farm. He is still eclipsed, though, by the Lone Druid. So, I mean, if he's unable to make up the ground... But again, just the mechanics of the hero, and there really isn't all that much that they can be relied upon to start bringing those Phantom Lancer illusions down once they go low. I mean, Queen of Pain's an AoE hero, you've got that, and Windrunner, of course. I mean, they've got good burst in an AoE at this stage of the game. That's not really what I'm referring to. Between Fade Bolt, Power Shot, and of course Queen of Pain with Scream of Pain and Sonic Wave, that's fine. But that's not going to be really enough to get the job done if the Phantom Lancer is able to get up his 2 core items, which are going to be the Diffusal Blade and the Heart of Tarask. He's on his way to drums, has been for quite some time. Courier is back up. I'm actually surprised that he's not just completing those drums right now. We'll see what he wants to do. In the meantime, everyone kind of breaking off to their own relative sides again. And Teletubby, I feel like Teletubby's actually making a bit of a mistake here by not being more aggressive and hooking up with the Rubik and the Nyx and intentionally trying to apply pressure elsewhere. He's had such a great start. He's level 12, and you can't really ask for a whole lot more. And yeah, we're going to see a smoke up now. This is the right call to make. They're just going to evolve. Whoa, beautiful Fissure immediately bursting down the Earthshaker. Now it's just Mu. He's going to throw out a Void as well as a Silence. Illuminate gonna be there, but Mu should be cleaned up and will be. Power Shot at point blank range. And they make it double digits now, they're leading kills. Hal has actually had to react. And this early game has just been utterly disastrous for TongFu. Lone Druid is going to take this opportunity to begin applying pressure to this bottom tower. Should be able to get it down no problem, and he will. Illuminate is going to miss. But yeah, the early gold very much in the favor of the underdogs here. Neolution.Thai up over 5,000 their advantage, up over 5,000 experience as well. Back to the Druid. He's had that Midas for quite some time, and now has added another Glove of Haste to his inventory. We'll see what he wants to do with that. Possibly on his way to a Maelstrom. In the meantime, though, TongFu's got to be looking for some answer here. I mean, they've got their Phantom Lancer to fall back on. Still hasn't finished his drum. Now he finishes drum. He's got 2,300 gold in the bank as well. He's actually not really far away from being able to put together a Diffusal, if that is indeed the item he wants to build. So rare to see a Phantom Lancer do anything but Diffusal. So it's very possible it could be something else, but for the most part, the hero does want a Diffusal Blade in almost every circumstance. He could be banking for a Radiance. And if he's banking for a Radiance, I'll be honest, I think that's just a flat-out mistake. If he goes a Radiance build at this point, when he's down 12-2 and map control is beginning to become such a big issue, I don't know that he's going to be able to get the most out of that item. I just really don't know that he will. Radiance is a true annoyance, but Radiance is not the biggest deal in the world. Yeah, but it was a Maelstrom build coming out of the Lone Druid. But when you're down like this, and you're likely to be just beaten by mobility and pure push if you don't get yourself back into the game, Radiance is something you want as an item that works much better when you have map control. Whenever you're setting the pace of the game. Whenever you are the person who gets to dictate, or the team that gets to dictate where matches take place or where fights take place. And that's just not the situation for TongFu right now. Not even remotely. We've got 2 under cover of Invis. 1 under cover up. They're actually both under cover of smoke. We've got 3 here from TongFu, looking to possibly catch Neolution being a bit too aggressive. In the meantime, Druid is going to take himself another tower in bottom. Neolution is going to be able to get away. And yeah, middle tower denied by Moo. It is now nighttime, though, so he's got that going for him. This is a big opportunity for them. Second night, they really need to make this work for them. Really need to get things back on track, and they need to do it soon. The Phantom Lancer is going to have a lot of people hanging out with him to keep him safe at this stage. I really hope he's not building a Radiance. It's just such a big mistake to make. I don't know. Yeah, because he can't even fight right now. A Phantom Lancer that has just gone drums, tranquil boots. They can't challenge this. And we are going to see our Keeper of the Light TP someone in. It's going to be Hal. They know this is going on. And the Illuminate may be enough to scare them off. Upper's right there, and here we go. Reveals himself. There's going to be the Carapace. Vacuums back. In the meantime, Moo, TP, or excuse me, telekinesis up. There's a root, though, and the Bear's hitting so hard. Sonic Wave is there as well. Dust goes out, but Lone Druid just chopping wood. The follow-up impale on Hal, enough to clean that up. Yeah, that's a full white. That's what I was saying. They could not take that fight. I don't know why they tried. And Neolution.Thai has just pounded TongFu. There's no other way to say it. They are just utterly and completely dominating them. They're going to get a Roshan. They could just about rotate to bottom and look to take tier 3. That's not an exaggeration. I'm still just... That tri-lane for TongFu was fairly dominant. They should have felt no threat, and they didn't. Yet his farm was lower than it needed to be. And a lot of it's due to this guy right here. He's actually dead. But so much of the way this game is going is due to the play of our Queen of Pain player handled by Teletubby. He has played a fantastic game of Dota. And Moo has struggled all game long. I mean, he's got Tread's Bottle, and he's a Night Stalker in the middle of second night. That's just not acceptable. You give such an important lane to a hero, he has to get something out of it. He's level 11, which isn't great, isn't bad. No, it's not level 14, I'll tell you that. Man, Upper wisely backs off. Fissure not going to connect. In the meantime, Phantom Lancer hooking up with his team. Now, this is a good way for them to turn this around. They can get a big win here. Here we go. Night Stalker surged out and just going to eat a lot of damage. It's a Shackle Fissure once again, stolen by Rubik. And they're going to be able to kill him off again. Wow. They're just, wow, she just dove it. She fed that. That was just pure greed. She's going to make it away, though. And the wall stolen by Rubik, tossed down this time. There's Fade Bolt. And TongFu comes away with nothing. In the meantime, look at the Druid. Intresso says, that's fine, guys. You can grab ass around the top lane. How about I take a tier 3 at 21 minutes into this game? And yeah, I'm on it. He doesn't need to run. I don't know why he would think about running. He can win this fight easily. Here comes another TP. Now he can run if he wants. And dodges the Illuminate. No, he's just going to get a kill, actually, after the root. And Wing now can't do much. Has to surge himself. Now he's going to run away. Another good root. Spirit Bear, MVP. That's a double kill in the enemy's base, and he got Moo. He's going to be back up off the Aegis now. Hal's hanging out right there with him. And they should be able to clean him up. But in the meantime, is Moo going to die? Oh, wow. Barely able to get away there. But they get the Druid, they get the Aegis, but it cost them 2 heroes as well as a tier 1. Maybe a tier 2. Darkseer's not going to be back up for 15 seconds yet. And I'm just blown away. Utterly blown away with the play here out of Neolution.Thai. I said during the pregame that they had a chance to shock the world, to put themselves on the map, to turn some heads, and so far they have done all of those. They have certainly turned my head, both figuratively and literally. Teletubby, a big part of that. Scythe of Ice is now complete, sitting in his inventory. The gem picked up on Nyx Assassin, going to look to take away any sort of vision that TongFu would have otherwise. Mech is complete on Darkseer. That's the one good item they really have up. Urn, 22-minute Urn just ain't cutting it, Moo. Sorry, brother. It just isn't. You cannot lose mid that hard whenever you are a hero that's being relied upon. And Night Stalker 9 times out of 10 is an anchor hero. What I would call an anchor hero anyway. He's a hero that you pick so you can get through a certain stage of the game where you're not feeling comfortable. And in this case, they picked him and sent him mid so they would have some firepower in the mid game. But he has been outclassed pretty much from the word go. He was our first blood, and since then never has been anywhere near the rest of Neolution, or at least near where he should be. Teletubby, on the other hand, has just been dominating. 11-2 now, 5-1 on our lone druid. And speaking of the druid, he is going to be getting an assault cuirass. He's a good chunk of the way there now. He's got some help hanging out here with him now. And Neolution.Thai looking to be in good shape, man. 19-4. I mean, putting it like that's pretty obvious. 15. Holy crap! I knew they were ahead. That's the first I pulled that up in a while. 15,000 gold. That is insane. I was thinking they'd be closer to 8 to 10. 12,000 experience. And so far, TongFu just has been out of sorts, and now they're ready to push once again. This is going to be the next to last outer tier remaining tower. Keeper of the Light spins an Illuminate. Teletubby's going to go ahead and react, head himself down to bottom. Yeah, they're just going to leave Intresso here to do his thing on his own. He's actually got a Nyx Assassin hanging out with him for the moment. Snow Owl, first time I've actually seen that. Phantom Lancer's completed his Radiance. I'm still surprised that they're doing this. Now the Courier's going to end up dead for the Radiant side. Here we go, TongFu. Get things back on track. Chasing down Intresso. The Radiance is done now on the Phantom Lancer. And getting a kill here would be a big deal. Wow, they actually spent the Echo Slam there too. They may lose racks because of that though. Nope, here comes the TP. And that's just one coming back. There's the second now. At this point, they could just about sell out on this, really. I'm actually surprised that they're not. Keeper's bringing one home. Night Stalker is going to move his way in. Silences and voids the Windrunner, but she'll be able to make it away safely. Tier 1 brought down by Phantom Lancer. And now maybe, with that Radiance done, they'll be able to get something done. Again, I feel like that's the wrong item choice. And I feel like a lot of the hole that are in right now can be attributed to Phantom Lancer's inability to contribute anything until this moment. He was safe in his lane, but his farm was not superb. And they're going to be looking to extend team fights. I mean, that's you pick up a Radiance. What you want are long team fights. I mean, obviously, if you can win them in 2 seconds, you'll take a 2-second win regardless. But they want to string these fights out to give themselves the maximum potential with the Radiance burn. That'll help him with his farm rate too, of course. But in the meantime, denied tier 1, so finally some towers being cleared off the board. Gonna help out TongFu at least a little bit with map control issues. Day has dawned, however, so it's gonna be at least a little while longer before Mu can feel totally comfortable. Rubik picks himself up a double damn time. And both teams, and I'll tell you what, if there's one mistake the Neolution.Thai is making, they have a lead so large that they have no business not being more aggressive. I have no idea why they're not spending. Every hero they have should be on the other side of the map. There is no reason for them to not be taking complete control of the dire side jungle. No reason at all. And I'm really worried for them if they allow Phantom Lancer, now that the Radiance is up, to begin to put together the other items he wants. To begin to get up a heart, which he's already got the vitality booster towards. To get up a diffusal or a manta. They need to capitalize on this right now. They don't need to be hanging back. Queen of Pain has completed her BKB. That could potentially be a go item. And now they're beginning to show their faces down near this bottom lane. Roche back up in just a matter of moments. And we'll see how they want to do this. They may just commit here, and I'm fine with it if they do. Rubik doesn't have anything stolen, so he's going to be looking to take something away. No tier 3 tower to help them out here. And TongFu, if TongFu can defend here, they could potentially take her. Like, if TongFu gets a big wipe here, they may be able to not only defend, but to take a Roche. If they could do that, they might be in good shape. And Interest here is bailing out, actually. Heading back to meet the courier. That's going to be his assault cure as complete. One would imagine. Yep, there it is. So they've got just about every mid-game item they could possibly want. They really need to commit to a fight, and they need to make this work. Phantom Lancer is not a hero you want to sleep on and allow to come out of his base and farm. Looks like they're going to go ahead and go for it. Radiance Burn going to be a factor. How? Going to be the target of the bear. They move up, trying to crack the steps, and they do. There's the fissure. Carapace is up, though, using Mana Burn on an illusion. Actually, now Moo's going to be engaged upon. Good vacuum wall, though. Now the Sonic Wave's actually going to catch a couple, but not the targets he wanted. BKB's up on both sides. Echo Slam doesn't do anything, as no one was around for it to echo off of. Teletubby right-clicking as best he can, but he's left basically alone now. The follow-up Impale buys a little bit of time, but it's the Earthshaker traded for nothing. But the Illusion not really in shape to fight. Neither is TongFu, but they can just run to the well to heal. And let's see if they want to go ahead and try to take this again. The Illuminate is going to come out. That's actually going to hit the Nyx Assassin. And the bear will be cleaned up. Teletubby eats a Spirit Lance, will blink away. And they pull all the way back. In the meantime, middle tower taking a little bit of damage. They're going to rotate their way, or at least rotate in that general direction. The bear, they're ready to use to do some work. And now Mu actually gets hit with a shackle after he is hexed. Now he's going to be targeted down. Hal has to make a run for it. He has no illusions. Good vacuum, but no follow-up. He caught 4 with that. Hal throws out another Spirit Lance. That's going to be the next to last tower. And Neolution may want to consider going for a Roshan here. Would be the right call. They're very low health, but I think they could do it just because of how defensive TongFu has to play right now. They're going to rotate to bottom and just go for the racks. Great work out of KYT and Teletubby. Using the Scythe of Ice on the Night Stalker. Or on Mu, rather. And following it up with the Shackle Shot. Great synergy. And they're going to fall back again, it would seem. I'm really surprised they didn't just go Roshan instead of trying to push this Rax again. Mech used, getting their gloves up, ready to fight again. Phantom Lancer Illusion going to try to pull the creeps. And the bear just going to go in and go for the Rax. Here we go. Carapace, not going to be there in time. He eats the Illuminate. And they pull back again. The Rax still sitting at half health. And Neolution, once again, forced back out with nothing to show for it. Finally, they might be thinking about Roshan. There's no wards here whatsoever. And they're going to move into the pit. Feel like they could have done this a while ago. And yeah, they should be able to do this quite easily. Now, and then after this is when they want to push the racks. No reason to just leave Roshan on the table whenever the other team has to play so defensively. And you can just go take a fast Roshan, then push with an Aegis. Then you can commit to a fight. You can commit to cracking the base and not retreat just because you eat a bad Illuminate. They are going to go ahead and make a second run at it now. Demon Edge added to the inventory of Entresio, so that bear is hitting quite hard and quite fast, and Maelstrom helps a lot too. TongFu, on the other hand, still really, really short on items. Keeper of the Light has Tranks and an Urn. Phantom Lancer still sitting on just his Vitality booster. He's not far from having up a Reaver, though. That'll help a ton. And Entresio, got to be careful here. Doesn't want to eat too much damage. I'm a little surprised they didn't fall back to heal up. And they're just going to go for this again. And there's How going to be caught with the Scythe of Ice. Now, finally, Vacuum, but the BKBs are up. KYT forced to pull back. Rubik stole Fissure, using it to try and clear out some space. Moo wants to hang and bang, but will eat a lot of the damage. In the meantime, Sonic Wave connects, catches two, and we're going to see the Night Stalker drop once again. Teletubby making a run for it. The rest of Neolution pulls out, happy to just take the melee racks. All they wanted, all they needed. Very important point. Entresio did not lose the Aegis. That's going to allow them to regroup. Let their ultimates and abilities come off cooldown. And they can look to split push into top lane again. The gold graph dipped down for a moment, but back up over 15,000 in favor of Neolution. Now 15,000 experience as well. And TongFu, with their back against it, doing everything they can to try and hold this game together. But with Phantom Lancer cooped up in his own base for the majority of the time, I don't know what they can do. He will have a Reaver soon, though. But again, the lack of that Diffusal Blade, making it so hard for him to fight. Just doesn't have, I mean, he has the consistent, reliable damage out of the Radiance, but his ability to just grab all of his illusions, focus them on a primary target, and rely on the mana burn to do a lot of damage is just not there. His ability to take control of a fight that way. And even now, we can see his illusion not being permitted the ability to farm. And that's one of the main reasons you get a Radiance, so you can do stuff like this. But everywhere that those illusions go, they're there. They are beginning to shove in that top lane. Map control completely in control of Neolution Orange at this point. Looks like they're ready to push. They are spotted out by this ward, so they know what's coming. And Teletubby needs to hook up with his team, as does Upper. This could be the last hurrah for TongFu. Can't really afford to lose another tower and another set of racks. Not when you're behind this much. They may. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to try to split their attention between mid and top. Queen of Pain. Farming it up. Here comes Moo. And Moo's going to go ahead, throw a Void out. Upper was there if he wanted to be, if he wanted to engage. He's got Vendetta ready to roll if and when he wants. They're spread out here. If they were together, they may just rush a tower. That really seems like the wise thing to do. Yep, the Bear's going to go for it. Laying into the tower, there's the wall. They're going to look to land a vacuum. Carapace is up, though. Mech is going to be up. And used, I should say. And in the meantime, Queen of Pain doing her thing in mid. Hal just spamming that Spirit Lance. Manages to get the Bear once. Tower going to be brought down to about half health, but the Bear already down to half health as well. More Spirit Lance spam. The Age is still active on Entresio. And the longer these fights go, this is actually playing in the TongFu's hands. At some point, Neolution has to commit to a fight. Just standing and letting the illusions of Phantom Lancer burn you down is not going to get you a racks.
Dire's bottom barracks are under attack.
And speaking of barracks, ranged racks in a little bit of trouble, but will be kept standing at least a little while longer. 22-5. And And Neolution still looking for a way to try and crack this base. Pipe is done on Wing. Now the Blink Dagger up on Nyx Assassin. An item which was not super common on Nyx a while ago, but is becoming fairly ubiquitous now. At least, and when I say that, it may very well be the most popular item for Nyx in China, but the longest time I've focused primarily on NA and European Dota. So, just an observation that for the most part, Blink Dagger, while not some extremely rare item, is nigh ubiquitous now. But Heart now complete on Phantom Lancer. Now this is where you get scary, because he's hitting for okay damage. He's hitting for 200 a shot. Not having the mana burn does hurt a little bit. Not having the slow on the defusal to allow him to focus down a target hurts him a bit as well. But now that he's tanked up, now that he has the ability to have some sustain in these fights, I really worry that Neolution may have missed a window here. They're going to try and go for here in mid. And House actually going to be rooted down. Can they get him? They can! He's on the half health. Sonic Wave's going to connect, but there's a beautiful vacuum wall! Caught everyone. House still up and standing. And they're going to end up losing one. That's going to be the Lone Druid with the Aegis pop. Rubik uses his Echo Slam for no reason, but the follow-up spam is there. And Tresio walks back through his own wall. Impale tries to bail him out and buy some time. Two are down on the side of TongFu. Can they commit to this fight? Teletubby walks back through the wall once again as well. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Shackle's going to get there, but it's going to get there a little bit late. And in the meantime, up at top, we can see Intresio laying into the tower. He's going to be forced back for the moment by Wing. He does manage to get the tier 3 in the meantime. But Phantom Lancer's down. Phantom Lancer is down. I didn't see how he dropped because I focused on the racks. There's a Shackle. Intresio's still up for the moment, and the mech going to keep him up and fighting. KYT there. Now the Bear giving pursuit to Wing. They're going to go for it. Good Fissure locks him in place. Can they clean it up? No. Nyx Assassin's there. Uses the Impale. Mana burn on Wing as well. The Bear is going to get the racks. Second racks drops. Thought for sure TongFu had waited the storm out. Turned out they were just in the eye of the storm as the hurricane hit once again. 25-6, and that's saying something, by the way. Whenever you're down that much and you still have that feeling that you're making a comeback. But now with the second melee racks down, I don't know. I simply don't know. 20,000 gold, 20,000 experience. By all rights, this should be a rout.
Misery.
But again, it comes down to what I talked about during the draft and in the mid game and even during the laning phase. Is they don't have a lot of answers for Phantom Lancer in the late game. And Phantom Lancer made an item choice that I found very questionable, and it put them in a very tough spot. But now that he is beginning to fill his inventory out, despite that huge investment into that Radiance, we're beginning to see why the hero is so feared. That Heart, I mean, he was caught out dead to right. I mean, he should have been dead in the shadow of this tier 3. But they just don't have the ability to burst him down anymore. Even with Nyx there, even with Rubik there. They have a great team at executing and ganks and pick and push. But pick and push doesn't work at this stage. They did get that second racks, though. It's going to be tough for TongFu to leave the base. Going to be very hard for them to leave the base. And, of course, Phantom Lancer's farm going to be slowed down considerably. The Lone Druid lost his Aegis, but has picked up an MKB. Sticks it on the Bear, no surprise there. And we see Intreso just tanked himself up as much as he can with a casual cloak and a couple of bracers inside of his own inventory. Queen of Pain's picked up an MKB of her own. That's going to allow them to siege from the low ground much more effectively now. That Bear is hitting very hard and very quickly. That Bear is hitting absurdly hard, actually. I mean, just totally absurdly hard. Queen of Pain, no slouch in her own right, hitting for 270 damage. So she's in pretty good shape. That poor, and a lot of this comes down to Moo, and I hate to put it that way, but he just lost mid so horrendously that he has contributed next to nothing to this game for them. His silence really has been the biggest contribution he's been able to add. Other than that, I mean, a little right click here and there, but still lacking a BKB even. 40 minutes in, in excess of 20,000 golden experience in favor of the underdog Neolution.Thai squad, looking to close this game out. And perhaps looking to crack the tier 3 one more time. They're all gathered up here. And we see that Rubik actually stole Phantom Lancer's Spirit Lance. That's crazy important because of the fact that he can actually get some illusions going of his own to try and do war with Phantom Lancer illusions. Those illusions are very tanky right now, though. But for now, Neolution forced out at least momentarily. Taking a look at the buyback status, and pretty much there's only a handful of heroes that have buyback. 2 of them belonging to TongFu, so that's a step in the right direction. But just having 2 heroes with buyback means that if you lose this fight, you had better just kind of lose it. You can't just flat out lose it, or the buybacks won't matter. Lone Druid, gonna get himself another Aegis. And trust the old Spirit Bear. I'll tell you what, Spirit Bear's been the MVP. That Spirit Bear has hit a gorillion roots this entire game. And Tresio grabs the Aegis, gives the cheese to the bear, and now gonna hook up with Upper. Looking to shove this bottom lane in, then probably rotate back to mid. And I mean, Neolution has just played a fantastic game of Dota. There's really no other way to say it. One thing that does surprise me is that they haven't picked up a pipe, given the magic damage output that TongFu has. Here we go. They're just going to try and take the shirt. They're going to lose the bear here. Not quite, actually. I don't know. They're trying to bounce around. There's a mana leak on Teletubby. And Spirit Lances go out on both sides. And Tresio juggling his inventory a bit. And yeah, we're going to actually see him pick up the MKB and the Assault Cuirass now. But this is scary now. And again, it's rare that you look at a game and talk about gaps this big. But now that he has a Diffusal Blade, I really feel like Neolution has missed a lot of opportunities. I hope it doesn't cost him the game. The Phantom Lancer has played catch-up now. They've given him tons of time. They were unwilling to commit to a fight when they had the Aegis. And I feel like it has the potential to bite them right in the butt. Queen of Pain took the cheese off the bear. She looks like she's ready to fight. She's got 1 billion gold and ready to buy back. Top 3 of the top 4 farmers is the way I should put it. All belonging to Neolution.Thai. Taking a look at where we stand in kills. 13-2 for our Queen of Pain. Had a fantastic game. As has our Lone Druid, sitting at 8-2. Here we go. Bear's going to be engaged upon. And Tresio watching from a distance. And they do manage to get the range tracks. So that's a step in the right direction. Hal's going to be caught out. Now they're going to follow it up. Can they get him down? They will be able to drop him down. He has buyback, and he's going to have to use it right now. He might not, actually. No, he doesn't. He bought the Diffusal instead and went in by himself. He got caught out completely. No buyback. Oh, TongFu. Now the vacuum into the wall, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. There's no follow-up. I really thought they had a chance to maybe get themselves back into this with that Diffusal done. But with no buyback, Phantom Lancer gambled and just found himself with his wang in the wind. To put it honestly, he was just hung himself out there and got abused. 27-6. Neolution.Thai comes into this series big-time underdogs to a team who competed at the International. And granted, TongFu had some questions hovering over their heads coming in regarding their 2 newest pickups in Banana and Yaobei. And they were looking to get those questions answered, but to tell you the truth, I think they've just given people good reason to continue to question. What a fantastic showing out of Neolution.Thai. Not just getting a win, but absolutely trouncing a team considered one of the best on the planet by many. 30-6 in a 44-minute, 47-second drubbing. TongFu, from the word go, just feeling a little bit outclassed and outmaneuvered. Gonna look to try and turn this series around. Turn that donut into a breadstick. Not this series up and force a game 3. Neolution.Thai, though, they smell blood in the water, and they should. They're the ones who opened the wound. Gonna look to slam the door in TongFu's face and walk away 2-0 victors with a big win under their belt. We'll find out which team's up to the task coming up next. I'm Ayesee. This is the G1 League. Asia qualifiers phase 2 group number D. That's exactly what I was going to say. Group D. Stick with us. We'll be right back.